Okay, you guys, I'm coming to you guys on today. Just saying thank you so much for tuning in to Carol's Daily Sauce. But I just wanted to talk to you guys about little Maleah. Maleah, the little girl that was murdered some months back by her. They keep referring to him as her stepfather, which really makes me angry because he and her mother were not married. But I guess that's what they do these days. They call people stepfathers when they're not or whatever. But anyway, he was the one who had not necessarily, I guess you can say custody of the little girl at the time that her mother supposedly went out of town to attend her father's funeral. We have since found through court documents that were released on, I don't want to say yesterday, I guess a couple of days ago on August the 7th, that Derion Vence was supposed to come to court, be in court on the 7th, but he instead did not show up for court, and his case has been put off for until next month. The thing that really gets me is that they have come out and said that he is being charged with tampering with a corpse, tampering with police, investigations and things of that nature, which we know he did because we know that he was the one who obviously moved little Maleah's body from Texas to Arkansas because he was the one who actually told them where the body was located. I still have the hardest time trying to believe how someone, or trying to understand how someone would be able to do that to such a sweet little girl, just a person in general. I've never been one to have hate for persons, and so children have always been my favorite. The little people is what I call them, who don't even have the know-how to make decisions and things on their own. Anyway, with that being said, I just want to say that he has been now charged with hitting little Maleah, the 4-year-old beautiful little girl, with a blunt object, and he did not seek medical attention for her. Now, if any one of you know and have been following this case, we know that she had already had a brain injury, and as a result of the brain injury had to have surgery on her brain. So you hit her with a blunt object again in her head. And the reason I say again is because someone obviously hit her the first time. I just don't understand. I was on YouTube this morning and I was reading because I couldn't sleep, and I was reading and just looking at some of the comments. And if you guys know me, if you follow me, you know that I am a Christian. I believe in the good towards all men. I believe in just good, just good, just being good, just treating people well, treating people nicely. I don't really participate in a lot of negative, but I was reading, but I was viewing videos, and it's so ironic to me because I was actually viewing videos of people who were or had done videos where they literally took their teenage children, some younger children, younger than 14, 15 years old, and they literally humiliate them on Facebook. They whoop them on Facebook. They go into their secret accounts that the children have, because a lot of the children are not supposed to have phones, and they really embarrass and humiliate the children. And my thing is, we cannot tell anyone how to raise their children. One thing I have always said is raising children is not something that when we went into the hospital, we were giving an instruction manual. And even if we were given an instruction manual, every single child that you have, every single child that you adopt, every single child that you take custody of is an individual person. God makes us all specifically different, and he makes us all specifically different with reason. So you can't go about raising one child the way that you raise another. Now, if one or two children are raised in the same household, I do honestly believe that you can set down the same ground rules or what it is that you or your significant other are going to allow and not allow. I'm not saying that, but everybody is an individual person. And so even if they were, when we went into the hospital to deliver our children, were to give us an individual instruction manual on raising children, it wouldn't be applicable to each and everybody. Every single step, every single whatever wouldn't be applicable, because there would always be something where maybe this child, this timeout didn't work for this child, but for the other child, it works exceptionally well. So raising children is just it's just a trial and error thing. You just do and work with the very best you have and pray to God that God would be able to give you the know-how to raise children. None of us are perfect. None of us. I don't give a darn if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. I don't care if you were a millionaire. I don't care if you are the poorest of the poorest. None of us are perfect parents. We are all at the time of raising children, learning as we go along. However, there are many men and women, well, women who actually can't even have children. They're barren and they can't even carry children. And some women have the blessing of getting pregnant, and a few 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 months down the way, they end up losing the children, so they're unable to have children. And then we have these people who can just pop out babies whenever. They can just get pregnant whenever, however, they don't have a hard time getting pregnant, and then they end up mistreating the children. They leave the children in the custody of people who will abuse them. They abuse them. They take part in abusing them. It's something that I will never understand. But back to Derion Vence, I pray that he gets exactly what it is that is due him, because he definitely needs to be behind those bars. Because if you really think about it, I don't know if you guys remember it. I remember it very well. Especially those things that I want to remember. But I remember in the early stages of the case, there was mention that Derion Vence worked as a mail carrier. And one of his comments to, I believe, a family member was, if you ever wanted to kill somebody, if you ever wanted to discard of a body, this particular area where he delivered would be a good person to do it. Now that right there is a sadistic mind, because I just don't believe that there are normal people going around saying, if you ever wanted to discard of a body, this would be a perfect place to do it, especially not that of a little girl. I also believe that Brittany, Maleah's mother, should have her children taken away, and taken away permanently. And what I mean, and I'm going to explain to you all why I feel that way. I feel that way because we just don't know what happened to Maleah. We just don't know. We don't know what happened to her. All we know is what the media chooses to tell us. And so far, the only thing that they have told us is that they found her body. They told us the critical details of how the cleanup crew was in Arkansas, and how they were lawnmowing and they hit her body. I mean, they didn't have to go so graphic in that. They told us now that he hit her with a blunt object. Now, pretty soon, next month, it's going to be very detailed, very graphic as to how she ended up passing away, how she ended up dying. I just wish that all children in the world would be safe. All children in the world would be sound. I wish that parents would get to a point to where they forget about what they think people in the world are going to say about them, because of the if they should choose to give their children up. The reality is, people are going to talk about you anyway, anyhow, whether you are quote unquote a good parent, whether you are quote unquote a bad parent. The only suggestion that I can give to anybody, because I have raised my children, all of my children are grown, is just do the very best you can. And if you find yourself in a situation where you are not emotionally ready, you are not financially ready, then you should release those children to someone in your family, to the authorities, where the kids don't have to suffer. Children do not ask to be here. Another thing too is, I live in California, and actually where I lived at prior to my moving to another city about 4 months ago. Last week or a week and a half ago, there were two newborn babies found in a business area where there were businesses, and they were twins. And the two children were born again. I'm sorry. They were newborn twins, and they were left by the dumpster. The woman literally delivered her babies, straight up delivered her babies outside behind a dumpster and left them. The only way the children were found, unfortunately, one of them, by the time the authorities found the baby, one of the little girls was dead. The other one was still living. The police have been very, very hush-hush about the case, because one of the things they don't want to do, and I found this out in when I took criminal justice, is you can't give the media too much information, because the media runs buck wild and they make up stories and things of their own. So right now, the police department, the authorities are being very, very hush-hush as to even how the little girl is even doing. I think the last time I read, it just said that she's thriving. Thank God for that. But I just don't understand the thought process of people who deliver babies behind garbage cans and leave them. I don't understand the thought process of literally hitting a little child in their head. I don't understand the thought process of beating a child to death. I don't understand the thought process. I think before you get to that place, you should say, I'm not thinking clearly, I'm not thinking straight. I'm going to have to go and give this child to someone to keep this child safe and sound. And if you're unable to do that, then you straight up have a mental condition. You really, really do. Well, I just wanted to touch bases with you guys about Maleah, my little baby, sweet little niece, Maleah. And I tell you, on YouTube and on other branches of social media, I see all these sweet little babies that are some are being taken care of. I think there's one on Facebook, and this little girl is actually blind. She walks with a blind cane, stick to teach her, to show her where to go. But she's the sweetest little, I want to say her name is Amira, but just to see the love that her mother and father pour into her. It's a lot of little children on the internet who are not quote unquote perfect children without disabilities and things like that, and their parents are doing any and everything that they possibly can to take care of them. But my one thing that I do want to say is this: if you have a child, if you have children in your custody right now, a grandmother, a grandfather who are taking care of children because the children's mother is on drugs or whatever the case may be, and you're just getting to the point where you can't do it, or whether it's too much, whatever the case may be, you need to honestly and truly relinquish the child to the authorities. The sad thing about this case that happened in California, where the kids were left behind the dumpster, is in every state, in the 50 states in the United States, everywhere you can go to a safe home, a safe place, I guess is what they call it. Fire departments, you can go to hospitals, you can go to welfare departments, you can go to social services departments, and you can leave those children there that you don't want with no questions asked. And still, people leave the children to die. I don't understand it. I'll never be able to understand it. And I think one of the reasons that I'll never be able to understand it is because I've never had any type of addictions to drugs or anything. I think a lot of people that are dealing with those types of feelings have had and or are dealing with mental illness, addictions to drugs, and as a result of it, they can't make very wise decisions Some people may look at that and think that that is an excuse. I don't know, but I'm just saying. Well, I continue to ask that you guys would just pray for those that really, really loved Maleah. Pray for her brothers and sisters. Pray for her father, and pray that justice is served. My hope is that if Brittany, her mother, had anything to do with it, that they will find out, and that they will find out, and that they will sooner rather than later get her arrested as well, because we don't want anything to happen to those other beautiful children. Thank you so much for tuning into Carol's Daily Sauce. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to click on that bell. Do not forget to click on that bell so that you can be reminded of everything that I upload. You have to remember that I am one who does real life. I do reviews and I do reactions when those reactions are worth a reaction. Be blessed and be encouraged. I hope you all have a very, very good weekend. I plan on having one. If it's to do nothing but rest, I'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye-bye.